Did you say toxic masculinity is a green flag?
Did you?
I think I did.
Well, I think everyone understands what you're trying to say.
No, Hey guys, welcome to Life Past 5. I am Gina and this is Tommy and Jennifer. Christy and Nathan and Chris are all out of town, so it's just us three for this second episode of Couch Podtatoes, which I think the name is sticking, so...
I think so too.
I think this podcast will be Couch Podtatoes. Today we will be talking about a topic that Jennifer will be leading us into, so yeah, Jennifer, go ahead.
Yay, Jennifer.
Thank you. So today's episode is about singleness and dating. Woohoo!
It's Jennifer's favorite topic.
So let's jump right into this. Please share y'all's dating status.
Our dating status? My name is Tommy, I'm 23 and I'm single.
My name is Gina. Same.
I'm 24 and not single, but complicated.
Whoa.
Cut that out. Beep. Yeah. So, I guess, since we have two single people here, all the single ladies and man. Okay, so I guess the first question is, what are the best parts about being single?
You want to start that or do you want me to start?
I got it. I think there's so many great parts that, to be honest, sometimes I do forget, but especially just having a lot of my friends who are in relationships, and now Christy and Nathan are both married. I think I am able to appreciate a lot more of singleness, especially just having freedom to do whatever I want. Not that relationships like tie you down, but I think you can really just do anything you want and you don't have to like consult anybody, and
Right.
You can have all the alone time that you want without like feeling guilty. I think as an introvert that is huge for me. Yeah, what about you?
Oh yeah, pretty similar reasons for me to why singleness is great right now. I'm young, just started my career, and so not that it would limit, not that a relationship would limit what I would do, but I think I get to do a lot of traveling and a lot of things on my own, and I don't really have to worry about like how I spend my time. I can spend my money where I want to spend it.
Yeah.
And
that's a big one.
I think, all my friends right now are single, except for one, or like my high school friends. And so, I haven't really seen that, I haven't like been in a place where like, oh, I'm like so jealous yet as of now. But I guess that's a couple things for me.
I see. Do I share too? I will share. I guess something good about singleness is it's like what all of them mentioned. There's a lot of free time, but I'm in a long distance relationship, so I feel like I'm not tied down to anyone because I don't have to see this guy every day.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry, Nick. But I think it's even with like the whole money spending, because we don't see each other that much, I think I don't have to worry about that either because we see each other like twice a month. So it's like we just spend money then and then, I guess. But then, yeah. But
You also just started dating, so I feel like you haven't really seen that, or you
Yeah.
haven't felt that yet as much.
Yeah. I guess that's it for me. This is my first relationship, so I'm not sure. And it's been like a month now, so we'll see how things go from here. But
Good luck to you guys.
thank you.
Hi, Nick.
Hello.
And both of y'all have been in relationships.
Yeah.
When was y'all's last relationship? And how long?
It's been a while since like my last official relationship. I want to say back in 2017. And it was less than a year, so not too long.
I see.
Oh my gosh, I don't remember. I just remember it was before February because it was like a couple weeks before Valentine's Day that I ended things.
I remember.
But I forgot which year. I think it's been 2 years, 2-3 years maybe. And that relationship was less than a year as well.
Before we get into the next one, are y'all the type of people to show off y'all's relationship on social media? Not show off, but like not constantly, but like post like your significant other's like face or like appreciation posts.
I think I do that for like maybe anniversaries and stuff, or like oh god, my voice, or when I'm like doing something fun with them. I think it's like not because I want to show it off, but I think it's like a memory, like for a keepsake. You know, kind of lets my friends know what I'm doing, and kind of updating them.
For me, I feel like it's been too long that I don't even remember. It's been so long that I put a number to it, but I want to say yes. Like I do remember posting about my significant others. So, yeah, I don't really know. I guess we'll...
And people recognize you in the streets.
It's like, oh my gosh, Gina.
I would hope...
Who's that guy? She's never posted about him.
You got a soft launch.
And then like people like zoom in.
Soft launch.
Soft launch. I think I would definitely soft launch. I don't know about posting the face yet.
It's just like posting like veins or like coffee hand like this.
Have you seen those ones where it's like soft launching a boyfriend or a girlfriend and it's like, okay, can you hold this coffee? And it's like, move farther away, farther away.
I've seen that.
Soft launch, the trend of the 21st century.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the 21st century?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay, so what do y'all think is the best part about dating?
Best part about dating? I think this is a pretty big one for me that I've recently, I think I told you guys about it a couple of days ago, but like when I have good news, I think bad news, it's like I don't mind like keeping that to myself, but like when I have good news, I miss the days when like I have somebody to share that with and like they're like genuinely happy for me, and that is something that I do miss, like just the support and the attention. And just knowing that there's somebody there like constantly rooting for you and supporting you. I think that's one of the things, because like, you know, I recently had a pretty good news, and you know, I was like calling my parents and they were like not focused on what I was saying. And at the end of that, they were like, oh yeah, like that's good. And I was like, that's it. They didn't even know what I was saying. And so I think that's one thing that I do miss.
For me, I feel like it's pretty similar, but I guess flipped. So for me, I have a pretty easy time sharing like good news with my friends, and I don't feel like I miss that in a significant other. But I do feel like it's hard for me to share when I'm having a hard time, so like bad news, or if I'm struggling or just like going through a hard time. I feel like it's harder for me to share that with friends, but I would be able to share that with a significant other. So I think more like comfort and like support in that way.
I see.
I guess just like being able to spend time with someone, because a lot of my friends are in relationships and they have their like one-on-one time. And as much as I do really enjoy like my introvertness, there definitely are moments where I'm like, oh, I definitely need to give them space, but I want to hang out with people. But yeah.
What do y'all think is the average amount of time y'all would spend, like if like not long distance, y'all are like together, same city, how many hours a week would y'all, or how many days a week would y'all ideally want to spend with your significant others?
I mean, before, I remember like for me, I didn't want to spend every day with that other person, and maybe it was because like I didn't find the right person to spend my time with. But I think now I think my views have changed to where like, oh, like it's okay to spend every day with that person. And I think the more time you spend, the more like things you get to see about that person, whether it's good or bad, and helps you to really get to know that person like inside out. And so I don't really know if I like want to put a number on it, and I don't think I have like a number, but yeah, like I wouldn't mind seeing them like a lot in a week. How about you?
I think for me, maybe I just like haven't really found the right person, but when I was dating, at least, I noticed that I did still very much enjoy like my alone time. So I guess maybe it is like a matter of finding someone who I genuinely enjoy spending like a lot of time with, because ideally like when you get married you will be with that person every single day. Yeah, because I think as an introvert that idea kind of is daunting. Like having to see someone every single day. But I do think it is a matter of finding someone that like you really are compatible with. But
You know, funny story. So at church a couple of years ago, when I was attending like KM, we had this class called Singles Life.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like
I took that too.
yeah, and it's just like a 13-week course, was it? Something like that. And it's just like going over like singleness and like what we should do while we're single. And like there's a portion when it talks about relationships, and that question was asked, and it was like, how many hours a week would you want to spend with your significant other?
wow, hours? That's so specific.
Yeah,
How do you calculate that?
And I was like, oh, like it would be nice to spend like 2 days out of the week with your significant other. So
That's what you said?
that's what I was thinking. And I was doing the homework at midnight, and I was like, okay, 2 days out of the week. 1 day is 24 hours, 2 days is 48 hours. And I was like, 48 hours? And I was like, man, maybe 48 hours is too much. So I put 40 hours. And then when the next week in class, this was all anonymous.
It's not even a full work week.
That's what they said. They made a chart, and it was like 20 hours, 10 hours, 15 hours, like 18 hours. And then there's like 40, and it's like long. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it was like to the whole class. There's like 8-9 people in this class, and they're like, which one of y'all put 40 hours? And stuff like that. And I was like, I think I was devastated when the teachers showed us that graph. I was like, oh my gosh, that was not what...
You were like trying to lowball it, if anything.
Since there are best parts to dating, what are worst parts about dating?
Oh gosh.
Bunny hole.
I mean, I hope they're not watching. But from my experience, some of the worst parts, I think it's like when your like values or opinions don't match and they try to like change that. And like it's not that like you shouldn't change your opinions or your beliefs and like you should like be rigid, but it's like one of those things that it's like, does it matter? Those things, it's kind of like, oh, like why are you trying to like change who I am? And like I think arguments like that, I think it is necessary sometimes, but when it comes to a point where like that's constantly what you're talking about and worried about, then it's like kind of gives you an idea. It's like, oh, like maybe this person is not the right person for me, even though it's not something that should matter that much. I think another thing for me was like if you don't meet the right person, I feel like no matter how hard you try, they make you feel like you're not enough. And that's kind of how I felt like my past 2 times. And I'm oversaying it, or how do you say it? I'm like exaggerating, but that's like traumatizing for my future relationships, and that kind of makes me like take a step back sometimes, even if I am interested in somebody. It's like, oh, like what if similar thing happens again? So I think those are some of the worst parts for me that I've experienced personally.
Yeah, for me at least, I do think a big part of it is having to compromise a lot. Just because, especially because I'm single and I live alone, like, I have the luxury to literally not, like, what's the word, like, nichiba, like, I don't have to, like, walk on eggshells about, like, preferences or, like, lifestyle or anything like that. But definitely with dating, I feel like the hardest part for me was learning to compromise. Just because the people that I dated were all very different from me, and we thought very differently and we processed things very differently. But conflict only gets resolved with compromise, and I don't know, the feeling of compromising sucks, to be honest. Like, it's never fun because you feel like you're always losing and you're always giving in, even though ideally, like, both sides should be giving in.
Right.
But yeah, I think that was always, like, my feeling going through conflict was I felt like I was always holding it in and always giving in. But yeah, it's been a while, so who knows if I've changed, but yeah.
For me, I guess, just kidding. All happiness.
Yeah, maybe you should share this part.
Maybe in a couple months, I'll share some
Status updates.
worst parts about dating. Then, what do y'all look for in someone?
Like personality?
Personality, looks, just like preference. Your preferences in, like, your ideal person.
I think the biggest thing for me is, like, obviously, like, for me to be able to hold a conversation with that person and be able to talk about anything, and I guess, like, talking in, like, Gen Z vocabulary, like, matching the vibe.
You want the Gen Z queen.
That's not what I said.
Any Gen Zs
That is
out
not what I
there?
said.
Gen Z queens out there.
Drop a comment.
That is not what I meant. But, like, someone that's able to, because I feel like I'm pretty positive and, like, high energy a lot of times, and if somebody, no, I'm not.
You are.
That didn't sound.
You are.
And I feel like somebody that's low energy or, like, kind of pessimistic, it's hard for me to get along, but, like, it would be hard for me to live with. And also another thing was, like, I think that kind of goes with that same thing, like, kind of being positive, and even though, like my life might suck or, like, their lives may suck, it's kind of like seeing the glass, like, half full, right? And I think that's, like, a very important thing, like, because like how I view life. Yeah, and another thing I think is somebody that's able to, like, speak their emotions and they know how they feel. Because I think for me, when I have, like, troubles, I want to be able to kind of talk through it, like, when it happens. And I think for me, it's, like, it's hard to wait until they feel better. And I'm more like, okay, let's talk through this and figure this out. And if that person doesn't know how they feel, or, like, they don't know why they're upset or stuff like that, for me, it was very difficult. Not that, like, that's, like, a deal breaker, but it was very difficult for me to, like, wait, because I feel like a lot of times it's, like, my fault and, like, I need to be doing something to fix it. I think those three things. Yeah.
Then how long would you wait for them to, like, figure out what they're feeling?
I think the longest I've waited was a month.
Oh my god.
To figure out how someone was feeling?
Yeah. After that, I think I've lost all my patience for it. But I think that was the longest time
1 month.
they needed. Yeah, they needed. Or, like, so in the beginning, I didn't really know how much time she needed. And
So it's a she.
we're talking about past relationships, aren't we?
Sorry, go ahead.
We are, though.
Yeah.
Oh.
We gotta let our viewers know our
Gender.
Our preferences?
Yeah.
yeah
Oh.
our dating preferences.
But yeah. Gosh. But like in the beginning, I was like, I didn't really know how much time she needed, and then like by the time when she was finally ready to talk about it, it was a month.
What about you, Gina? What do you look for?
I do feel like what I look for has definitely changed over the years. But at least right now in this current stage of life, aside from the obvious things, I think preferences wise, I prefer someone who is very patient and very like calm. Just because I have a hard time speaking my feelings sometimes. I think not that I'm that girl, but
You never know.
I do think
Just to clarify.
just to clarify, I'm not that girl. I think I am able to articulate how I'm feeling, but depending on who I'm talking to, it gets really hard if they tend to be more like aggressive. So yeah, definitely someone who is like more on the gentle, calm, patient side. And I think one thing that I'm realizing more and more is really important to me is someone who can make me laugh. I do think I laugh a lot, but I'm kind of half laughing just to keep up the mood. But I think someone who can genuinely make me laugh is really important, just because, like I said, finding someone who you can spend a lot of time with is important to me. So I think a lot of that is having fun and being able to have fun when you're just doing nothing and just like being together. So yeah, probably sense of humor is a big one for me. But
I think sense of humor is a pretty big thing for a lot of people.
yeah, why are you laughing?
What if this person is like perfect, like everything you're looking for, but it's like they try so hard to make you laugh, but they just can't.
It's not funny.
Yeah,
Like
just
it's not even funny if they're like trying so hard to make me laugh that it's not funny
Yeah.
even then.
It's like they're trying so hard, and you're just like,
It's just not the vibes.
yeah. Like constantly, like everything else is perfect. They have everything you're like looking for in a guy, girl.
But I don't think I would find them attractive if I don't find them like fun to be around.
Cause like, what if in a group setting they're fun? So like you just like see them in a group setting, and they're like, oh my gosh, that person's so funny. But then it's like one-on-one, he's trying to make you laugh, and it's just like crickets.
It wouldn't be a deal breaker, but it would be a little sad, I guess. But I don't think it would be a deal breaker. Like if he's really trying, then I think I would appreciate that at least.
I think going on. Wait, so sorry, backtracking. But going off of that just reminded me. I don't know why, but like knowing how you feel, it's like also it's like knowing that, or like being able to say like I don't know how I feel right now. I think that's also important to say, just to let me know like okay, like I'm trying to figure it out instead of like I know how I feel, I'm not telling you kind of thing. It's like very different.
That's true, because I think it's definitely valid to not know how you feel, but I think communicating that well, as long as you do that, I feel like.
What if they give you the silent treatment?
Don't even. Just got goosebumps.
I'm not that girl. I'm not that girl, guys.
Our next segment is red flag, green flag.
Yay!
What is y'all's red? Let's start with green flags. Name 5 green flags. Done.
Green flag number 1 for Gina is ambition/drive. So they don't have to be super competitive and ambitious, but I do think in a certain sense working for what they want in life.
I feel that.
Green flag for me, I think when they're nice to like the people around them, including like service people, like waiters, waitresses. It's a really big sign when like they treat somebody differently by like how they view their rank, or like how they like where they think they are in society, and I think it's a green flag when they kind of treat everyone the same.
Green flag number 3 or no
2. Skipping.
Number 2 likes kids. I think that would be a green flag for me.
What if they like kids but they don't want their own kids?
Red flag. Not red flag in general, but probably red flag for me because I would want kids. So I don't think I would want to compromise on that.
Green flag number 2 for me. I think another one is like when they are. I don't know if this is similar. Good to their parents. Because I have seen a lot of people that don't really respect their parents. Like, it's not even that like they have to be like nice to them. It's like just like respecting them as a parent. And like I do like see like sides where like, you know, their parents weren't great to them, and like, you know, like there are cases like that, but I think even then there are times when like you can be respectful without liking them, if that makes any sense. And like whenever I see somebody like mistreating their parents, it's like, oh, like are they gonna treat my parents that way too? And for me, like family is really, really important, and it's important for them to get along with my family and for me to get along with theirs, and so that would be a green flag.
Green
Awesome.
flag number 3. No toxic masculinity.
What about fragile masculinity?
What's that?
What's the difference?
Fragile? It's like,
Isn't it almost
Yeah.
pretty similar?
that's true. Yeah, I guess it's the same.
It's like in the
Thinking
similar
about-
boat. Yeah. Of just getting very defensive of their masculinity. But
Because I recently came across this TikTok, and there's this guy that made like a concealer for men, and then all the girls in the comments were like, "Wow, fragile masculinity at its finest."
because they just can't wear
Yeah.
regular concealer.
Yeah, they had to like go out of their way to make a men's cosmetic line. Next green flag.
Somebody that is able to listen to you without trying to fix you. I think that kind of goes along with what I said before about what I look for. Because I think for me, I think I'm pretty open to a lot of things. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I am. I usually try not to judge people's experiences and like their beliefs. It's like whenever I'm sharing an experience or whenever I'm sharing like my beliefs, I think if they're able to kind of listen and like not even like agreeing with me or like, you know, like, oh, like you're right, but more like along the lines of like, oh, like I understand, that makes sense, and like kind of that affirmation. I like affirmation.
If y'all girls
Oh
For
my
those
God.
Gen Z queens who are good at affirmation.
Gen Z
hit him
queens.
up at Tommy Diso, DBso,
So
Tommy Diso, on Instagram.
Anyway,
green flag number 4, when they are very well-rounded and know a lot of practical life skills. Not
That's
that they
true.
need to, but I do think it is attractive when things happen and someone just knows exactly like, oh, this is what you're supposed to do, or this is how you're supposed to fix this, or just like well-rounded in knowledge, I think.
I think that kind of it's like they're independent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
No, because I think I was thinking about it, and did you say toxic masculinity is a green flag?
Oh, to her number 3.
Oh,
Did you?
I think I did.
See, opposite of that, somebody that's not.
That doesn't have to.
I think that's what I said, no?
I think that's what she
Oh.
said.
I guess we'll see in the recording.
Well, I
but-
think everyone understands what she was trying to say.
No,
No toxic masculinity.
no toxic masculinity.
Imagine dating
please.
somebody.
A bunch of people coming to me and do that.
It's like, hey, I heard you like toxic masculinity.
Does a rumor
Oh
start?
Wait, what was your number 4?
My number 4 was practical real life skills.
Yeah.
Like going off independence, like I think the opposite of that is like a mama's boy. Like
Yeah.
they like ask, like I mean not just like their parent. Like I had a friend, like every time they had a problem, like they would ask me like, oh, like what do I do? Like how do I do this? And I think like a couple times where it's like, oh, like I haven't experienced this before, so like you have, so let me ask you. Like I think that's like okay, but like every time you have like an inconvenience, it's like, what do I do? Or like they call their mom like, oh, like mom, what do I do? It's like, I think that's also a red flag for on the girls' part too.
Wow, that reminds me of this one time in freshman year when I was living in the dorms. I went down to go do laundry, and I lived in an all-girls dorm, so like it's all girls down there. And I was like doing my laundry, and then this girl comes up to me and she taps me on the shoulder and she goes, I'm so sorry, but I've never done laundry in my entire life. Could you help me? I was like, I mean, yeah, I can help you, but I think I was like shook that like we were like 17, 18, and I don't know, maybe because I grew up doing laundry since like 11, 12-ish, since like middle school. I think I was shook that like there are some people out there that don't know how to do laundry.
There was a time, me too, like I was in the common dorm and like I was using the dryer and like I took the lint out of the dryer, like the filter, and one of the guy that was in the laundry room with me, he was like what the heck is that? Like, are we supposed to do that before we use it? And I was like, wait, what? And that was an engineering dorm too.
Typical. Just kidding.
Typical.
Typical.
So offensive.
I'm sorry.
All the engineer viewers are gonna come at you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Anyways,
Number 4?
green flag number 5.
Or number 5?
We are on our last one, thank God. Maybe someone who doesn't have to be an extrovert, but definitely sociable, and someone who can carry on a conversation with people that they don't know and are. Not that I don't like shy people, because I'm okay with shy people, but everyone's gonna come at me in the comment section.
Engineers, shy people.
Toxic.
Toxic.
But yeah, I think it is attractive when someone can carry on a conversation by themselves and not depend on someone else to, like at least like when you're in a relationship with someone and you're, like I would want my significant other to be able to socialize with you guys without having to like depend on me to be like, oh, this is this, and like, you know, kind of like making that environment for them. But yeah, I guess it's just personal preference at that point. But
I think for me, a green flag is like somebody that's able to spend time like by themselves and they're independent. I guess kind of along the lines with yours, but it's kind of difficult when they're like not able to spend time like on their own, and they always need somebody like whether that's like eating or like going to get groceries or like whatever. It's like they always they need someone with them to do everything. And for me, I've realized like somebody like that, it's whenever you're not there for them, like you're very easily replaceable with someone else. And like I've experienced that, and I think that's kind of difficult to like watch and be a part of. So like if somebody's able to like kind of do things on their own, and even if I'm unable to be there to like support them or like for circumstances, like they're okay with like kind of doing things on their own.
Now that we talked about the positive things, there's always negatives. Let's do 3 red flags.
red flag number 1. Toxic, just kidding. Man. I think someone who can't accept me for who I am. Not in a sense of like they have to like everything about me, but more that the more I get to know them and the more I like show, obviously people get to know like more of your flaws and more of your like character flaws and insecurities, but someone who's able to like accept that instead of kind of criticize that. I guess criticism. Yeah. Being very critical.
Red flag for me, when they don't have like a lot of friends that are the same gender.
Oh, I should have said that. Whoa.
Yeah, but I think that's a really important aspect. I think that kind of goes along with being independent. When they're unable to make friends of their own gender, it's for me, it's kind of like, why can't they? I don't know, because from a guy's perspective, it's like really easy to be friends with a guy. Like I can literally like walk out the street and like.
Oh whoa! I thought you were pointing at me.
Oh.
This guy over here.
I can literally walk out the street and like dab a guy up and like we can just become best buds. Like.
Can you?
Pretty fast, yeah. You wanna try?
Should we test it out later?
Let's see who's outside my apartment.
Yeah.
Red flag number 2 for me probably would have to be being hot-headed or I guess aggressive and not being able to like control your anger specifically. I think I do a pretty good job of accepting people's emotions, whether it's like really happy or really sad or things like that. But I do think it's harder for me to accept when people have a lot of anger. And it's totally valid to feel anger, but I do think in a certain sense not being able to control that would be hard for me, just like how I think we talked about in the beginning. It is like harder for me to be more vocal when the opposite party, like regardless of gender, is very like strong and aggressive. So yeah, probably that for me.
I think number 2 red flag for me is like when they don't want to compromise. I guess that kind of goes along the lines of like being selfish. They only want to do what they want to do, and because I think usually for people it's like, okay, like yesterday we did what you want to do, like or yesterday we did like what I want to do, tomorrow let's do what you want to do. Like it's kind of like common sense to kind of flip that, but it's like constantly like, oh, like let's go eat what I want to eat, like let's go do what I want to do, because I don't want to do what you want to do, kind of thing. Not because of like what that person is, like who that person is, but like, oh, like I don't want to eat that, but I want to eat this. So let's go eat this, kind of thing.
I think red flag number 3 for me would probably be when someone doesn't take into consideration other people's feelings. I think there are people that I've met where they are so fixated on right and wrong that becomes prioritized over people's feelings and how people feel and their emotions. And I think not that one is better than the other, but I do think I appreciate someone who is empathetic and someone who does take into consideration other people's feelings regardless of what is objectively right and wrong. Yeah, someone who can just like comfort people and encourage people.
I think another thing for me is somebody that doesn't have goals. It really speaks their character whenever it's kind of like I don't want to do anything, and like not like in the sense where like it's because like they're struggling like mentally or physically, not that, but like I don't want to do anything because it's inconvenient for me.
Oh, I feel that. I think people who don't do things they don't want to do. Yeah.
What do you think is the best way to be approached?
Oh, like to...
It's like there's like a girl that likes you, I guess, in this situation, but it's like not just like in your perspective. Like you can add your perspective, but like more of like a guy's perspective.
I think that really, for the guy, that really depends on if they are attracted to the girl or not. If it's a girl that's like their type, then it doesn't even matter how they approach them. Like if they approach them, yeah.
No way.
If they approach them, or okay, excluding the ways where it's like weird.
No, but have you heard that thing where it's like, I think there's like a Wong Fu video about it. It's like creepy versus romantic, and it's like 2 scenarios where they do the exact same thing.
Well,
but
that's
whether or not they have feelings, it's like.
That's what I'm saying though. It's like it all depends, because the difference in that was the guy, right? I think that I'm speaking for pretty much all guys. I think it's like sometimes it's extreme to the point where like no matter what girl hits them up, it's like they're happy that they're being approached, because that like rarely happens. Like there's only been like a couple times when I feel like I've been approached.
At least for girls, I don't know if I can really speak for everyone, because I don't know if it's similar to guys where it's like it really just depends on like who's approaching. But I don't know if this is correct, but at least for me, I think the method of approaching matters more than who it is. Or at least for me, I think the way someone does approach me matters a lot.
So what if it's like someone you have absolutely no thought about, like no feelings, like...
I think if they approach me the right way, it could change things.
What is your definition of the right way?
So I think that's where I can't really speak for all girls, because I do think that depending on the girl, it really can differ.
Just for your perspective.
Yeah, I think for me personally, I think someone who is forward and upfront about their feelings and intentions instead of being like, because there's like the type of forward where you're being like elusive, and then there's a forward that's very intentional. And so I think as long as the guy approaches me in a very intentional way of like, oh, I have feelings for you, or I have interest in you, and I would like to get to know you better, XYZ, I think that's how I would like to be approached. But I do know there are some girls who don't like guys who are forward. They kind of like the slow game. But personally, I don't think I like that.
I mean, I guess if there's like a way to approach like me personally, I think it's pretty similar where I want them to be intentional and kind of be upfront about what they're doing.
Yeah, I think it's like the efficiency thing. It's like, if you like me, great. Let's figure this out. Yeah, I think playing games exhausts me.
Me too. And lastly, how petty are we? So there's two scenarios. Would you be rather left on read or seen or delivered? So this is the case of both parties have read receipts on. So it's like you're either being left on delivered or left on read.
Oh, so it's a matter of them opening the message or just leaving it. I think both ways for me, read.
You would leave that person on read and you would rather be left on read?
I think so.
I would rather be left on read, but I would leave them undelivered.
Why?
I think for me at least, I don't know, that delivered is just so like vague. Like I always want to give them the benefit of the doubt. I was like, oh, like maybe, like it's been like 36 hours, but maybe they didn't open it or read it. But at least if it's read, like you know without a doubt they read it, at least most times. But I think I do that too of like, not even when I'm upset, just like in daily life, like that read receipt is almost like I acknowledge your text and like I read it. But I know some people don't really like that. Like they like having the thumbs up reaction on something. But what about you?
I'd rather get left on read just to get that confirmation. Okay, like she read it. And reason why I would leave them undelivered is that like that opposite thought process where like even though I'm upset, like I would rather want her to think that like I'm taking my time to think about it and like I'm just not ignoring her is like why I would do that.
What if y'all were in like a heated conversation? Would y'all rather be left on read or delivered? It's like y'all were like constantly like arguing about something, but then all of a sudden no response. Would you be left on read or delivered?
Delivered.
Delivered?
Read. Well, I think at that point I would just meet up with them. Like if it ever got heated, I think I'd rather just like do it face to face. But if I had to choose, probably read.
Read and delivered.
Delivered for that same reason. It's like I don't want to think about this. So if they left me undelivered, then it's like okay, like they're thinking about it. They're thinking about it, so I don't have to think about it.
Okay,
kind of thing. Like I don't want to like be stuck on that.
That is all for tonight. Thank you for answering my questions. Gina helped me.
Those are pretty good questions.
Those were pretty good questions.
You should have seen my list last night before Gina helped.
But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in on today's episode of Couch Podtatoes.
Yeah, comment below if you ever want to see us talk about a specific topic on Couch Potatoes, or I know occasionally we will make videos of just us doing things and challenges or going places. So if you ever want to see anything in specific, just comment them down below.
And please subscribe and like our video if you want more of our content. All right, see y'all next time.
Bye.